Welcome to the fall quarter, everyone. And this is ITS weekly seminar every Friday this time. And for freshman students and second year, you're supposed to enroll in this class. And we have a packed series of seminars, very exciting from, actually quite a few are from our alumni. So we'll check with them and see how well they're doing. And, I'm Michael Zhang. Will be the host faculty for this quarter. Professor Susan Henny will give you a brief sort of outline of what this seminar is about and the requirements and so forth.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So before we launch into overviews of all the various research centers around here, the first three of which I'm going to do, I do want to go over the requirements for this course. So we do make the first and second year transportation students, both TTP and civil engineering, enroll in this class, TTP 281, as a one-unit course. And of course, the courses or the seminars are open to everybody, but those of you who have to be here are enrolled. So, why are you here? Well, I just said you're here because we require you to be here.
Beyond that.
But you are grad students, right? You are here at UC Davis to learn. And so, of course, you are here also because you are eager to learn and to be exposed to a whole bunch of interesting different transportation topics and transportation research and transportation policy. Now, expectations for your 1 unit of credit. We're going to do things a little differently this year. Every time we adopt a new system, it works for a while and then it begins to fail. So we're starting with a new system. So as always, please try and arrive by 1:30. That means you get here in time to get some nice refreshments and then make your way into the room for the 1:40 start. And we do like to start on time because we're recording things. Turn off laptops and cell phones. We want your full attention while you're here. We are serious about this. I may be loose about it in my classroom, but for the seminar, we're paying attention. Listen actively, even if the topic is not so related to your interests. Again, you know, you're here as a grad student. We picked you for the program because we thought you had some intellectual curiosity, and this is a place where you can satisfy that intellectual curiosity. So even if it's off topic a bit for you, there's something you can learn. And hey, maybe there is some connection to your own work in whatever it is that the speaker is talking about. Ask questions of the speaker. We like interaction in this seminar. Don't worry about sounding silly. No questions are silly, right? I mean, we have so many diverse backgrounds in this room. We're going to have speakers on a whole wide range of topics. You know, in most seminars, most people are not going to know very much about the topic, right? So ask whatever questions you want. We really want to encourage involvement. The course goes till 2:50, 1:40 to 3 o'clock. Oh, 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock, not 2:50. I had it wrong. It's not 1:30 to 2:50. It's 1:40 to 3 o'clock. So stay until 3 o'clock for the end of the questions. Well, I'll talk about this more on the next slide. We're serious about this, right? Don't walk out early. Are we going to do this? Discussions? Yes, sometimes, some sessions we'll do some informal discussion after the official seminar to talk about sort of career opportunities and things like that. So I don't know that it'll happen every week, but we'll let you know when the speaker is going to stick around. Again, it's just a great opportunity to talk to somebody in the field and learn more about them and what they're up to. Yeah, and don't forget the lunch opportunities before the seminar as well that Anne-Marie will be sending out about. Okay, we will have a sign-up sheet that we want you to sign, and you need to do it yourself. You cannot have somebody else do this for you. So use your own handwriting. And then the other thing, we're going to replace the little note card system we had last year, but keep the same idea. We want you to be an active, engaged listener. So through the seminar, we want you to come up with 3 questions that you could ask the speaker. You don't have to ask the speaker, but we want you to come up with 3 questions that the seminar raises in your mind. And instead of writing those on the cards, we're going to have you submit them in Canvas. So all of you who are enrolled should have access to the TTP 281 Canvas site. And you're not going to submit them as an assignment, but you're going to post them in the discussion section. So I've set up a discussion for each of the seminars. And just get in there and put your 3 questions in there. And you will see all the questions that everybody else is also asking. So again, this is honor system. You want to not get on until you've got your own questions. We don't want people taking other people's questions, but we will be able to see everything. So we will have some monitoring of making sure that everybody is submitting questions and that there's some originality to those questions. Questions about the questions? Canvas?
Very quick comment. I think we encourage you to ask questions, but during the speaker's presentation, only sort of clarification questions that you want right away you ask. Otherwise, we'll let the speakers keep their time and then you write down your question and ask later on.
Yeah, I mean, some speakers will say, oh, they'll be happy to talk during the talk. But yeah, in general, clarification questions during the talk and then discussion questions.
I think for time management,
yeah,
it's more. Yeah.
Well, you're the host, so you get to structure the main things. Right. Okay, any questions about this? And then here's my little lecture. Wait. Oh, and then you are allowed to miss one because we understand that you all are busy and have other things going on in your lives. But if you have to miss more than one of the seminars, we'll have you do a makeup and just check with Amber about that. Okay, questions about the requirements? Yes.
Stay until 250 words. End of questions. Later is so whichever later.
It's 3 o'clock. It's not 2:50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
3 o'clock.
Yeah, the host should wrap things up. It's 3 o'clock, not 2:50. I made a
So
mistake here.
yeah, if the questions continue until 5 p.m.
Yes, you're allowed to leave, but hopefully the host will wrap things up.
After 3, it's optional. It's
After 3 is optional.
Okay. Before 3 is mandatory.
Right, exactly. Okay, so go ahead.
I have 2 questions. One is, well, actually, I can just look at the schedule and answer myself. Never mind. But my question is, if you can't take this 1 quarter because of a class conflict, how do you manage that?
Talk to Anne Marie, because she's got ways to handle that. Anything else? Okay, and then just, oh yeah, I'm serious. Okay, you can do it. It's good for your brain to be off of your devices for an hour and a half. Okay, and then just, final thoughts, and this may sound like I'm lecturing you, and I am, and it's because it's based on behavior we've seen, not all the time, but at different times over the years. Remember, our speakers are donating their time to you. You do not get paid to come here to talk to you. For most of them, it takes a whole day when you factor in the travel, sometimes more than that, for them to get here and have lunch with us and spend an hour and a half talking with you. So you owe them courtesy and respect. Hence, stay until 3 o'clock and get off of your devices. And at least look like you're paying attention. Okay. A little daydreaming, nothing we can do about that. But, be a good audience for these people who donated their time to you. And of course, as I said, you are here to learn. We admitted you to the program because we felt like you wanted to come here to learn. And this is one of the opportunities we are giving you to do that. Again, it's going to be a whole wide range of topics. You can daydream a little more if it's really not of interest to you. You know, one thing you can always do is critique the speaker's style, right? If you're not interested in the substance, you know, you're going to do a lot of public speaking in your lives. You know, use it as an opportunity to think about that and learn from what the speakers are doing. I mean, there's so many different ways you can learn from this seminar, so embrace it, please. Okay.
Communication is one of the important skills that you have to learn from graduate school. Right? So this is give you a variety of different, you know, speakers.
Yeah, which presentations do you want? Okay. Any final questions? Or
When we post our questions, just post 3 different questions 3 different times, or like have 3 questions posted off of our own like thread.
Right, you can do it all in your one, you get on once and put your 3 questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and read each other's questions. Maybe we get some good discussion going. What a concept.
The Canvas will have a discussion group, maybe you can set up.
Yeah, well, so it is set up as discussions.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can feel free to post more than once. Right.
So each of us posts 3 questions
Yes.
regarding the discussion.
Yes.
But if I ask the presenter some question, can I repost it to
Yes.
the discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right. So they can be the same questions. If you have something in here, you can post that too. That's great. Yeah. All right. Anything else? No. All right. So now we're going to do this overview of these different centers that we've got around here, which you've already heard. Some of you have heard some about. Some of you may be working for some of these centers, but again, we just want to make sure you're aware of the full breadth of things going on around here and the opportunities that might be out there for you. So if you hear something interesting today, feel free to follow up with you know, people who are here talking about these centers, and just get thinking about what you might do here. So, ITS Davis, you may or may not know this, but I am the acting director this year because Dan Sperling is on sabbatical. He's in Paris at the moment.
Enjoy Paris.
Eating very well. I saw a nice picture of a spectacular meal the other day. And in the meantime, I'm here signing forms. Anyway, you know what ITS is all about. It is a wonderful place, and we have lots of students and lots of researchers, and we're bringing in lots of money and just all kinds of good things going on here. And of course, one of the important things we do is serve as an umbrella for all of these other sub-centers and initiatives and collaboratives and centers, whatever else it is, programs that we call all of these different sort of activities. So, anything else I need to answer about ITS? Okay, then we're going to get into the specific centers. Just keep going.
One thing unique about ITS is has own graduate program, TTP, and that's very rare for
It is
on
very
campus.
rare. Yeah. How many of you are TTP students? Yeah, so probably about half, and then half civil engineering students. Okay. Okay, so another kind of umbrella center here at ITS is the National Center for Sustainable Transportation, which I direct. And this, there's supposed to be some fun animation there. That was one of our undergraduate helpers did that for us last year. So this is a part of a federal program called the University Transportation Centers Program. We are one of, there are now 7 national centers. We're the only national center in this program that's focused on sustainability. So that's a big deal and a nice indicator of ITS Davis's standing in sustainable transportation research. The center is not just Davis, so we have partners at UC Riverside, USC, Cal State Long Beach, Georgia Tech, and University of Vermont. So we are sometimes doing research with them. There are opportunities for grad students to do an exchange at these schools. You know, if there's research going on at one of these other schools that you're interested in, we've got funding to send you there for a couple of weeks, that sort of thing. So some nice connections to other programs. The center really, it supports research across pretty much everything that we do. There we go. Here at ITS Davis, and the structure sort of aligns with the TTP structure, where we've got you know, the whole vehicle and fuel technology question, infrastructure and how we operate the system. So that's some of the more work that Michael does, and more traditional civil engineering sort of work. And then the kind of stuff I do, thinking about travel demand and modes other than driving. So we're supporting research in all those areas in terms of passenger transportation, but freight transportation as well. And of course, Miguel Ayer leads up the freight effort. So it's a little confusing, but what the NCST does is give out research money to researchers at UC Davis doing work in these areas. So we are in fact funding we are funding some of the work in all of the other centers that you're going to hear about today. Okay, so it's a lot about giving out money, which is kind of a fun job to have. Not always, but a lot of opportunities for students that the NCST facilitates. So a lot of graduate student researcher positions. All of our research projects, we require that there be a graduate student working on that project. So some of you may in fact be funded by NCST funding. We give out dissertation fellowships. So you PhD students, once you've qualified, passed your qualifying exam, you can apply for an NCST dissertation fellowship, and I think they're up to $30,000 now. So it's enough funding for a quarter or two, which lets you do research, you know, kind of above and beyond or different from what you might be getting paid for doing as a GSR. And it helps support extra, you know, research expenses for what you're working on for your dissertation. So that's a really nice resource, and just keep an eye on those deadlines. Graduate student exchange with those other partners in our center that I just mentioned. So again, if you find that somebody at one of those schools is doing stuff that you're interested in, talk to your major professor or come talk to me about doing an exchange. We also use the money to fund some extra ad hoc courses that we wouldn't otherwise be able to offer. If you have an idea about a course that we really need to offer, come talk to me or Anne Marie, and we'll see if there's enough student interest and we can find an instructor, we can make it happen. And we help to support the ITS seminar speakers so that we can bring people in from farther away. We host a bunch of different kinds of meetings and activities that you'll be hearing about over time. Look for those opportunities to get involved and network beyond the university. And I think I'm probably forgetting lots of other things, but NCST is a little bit everywhere around here. So lots of good stuff. Just to confuse things, we are also part of another one of these university transportation centers, the Pacific Southwest region, UTC. There are 10 regions in the country, and each region has one of these centers we call it the PSR. UTC, USC is in charge of that one, and we are a partner with them on that one. So there's similar sorts of funding as what we do with the NCST funding, just not nearly as much of it. But that's been funding, especially work focused on equity and justice kinds of issues. It's not entirely focused on sustainability, so we can do some other things with that.
Mobility also.
What?
Mobility.
And mobility, right. Are you going to talk about CTEC?
No.
No, but are you going to talk about CTEC? Yeah, okay. And actually, we're part of another little UTC that Michael's in charge of that's focused on health. So if you're doing anything related to health, talk to Michael. Okay. All right, questions about NCST or PSR? I still haven't got
Those are some of the sources that you can get support, either from fellowship or through research assistance.
Yeah. The nice thing about NCST is it's one of the few sources of funding we have that doesn't just go to research. You know, it lets us spend money on students in ways that we can't with a lot of the other funding. Okay, and then the last one I'm directly involved with is one of our newest initiatives here at UC Davis, the Bicycling Plus Research Collaborative. We created the website last year, which means now we exist. And but we've been doing bicycling research here at UC Davis for a long, long time. So that's all highlighted on that website. And don't you like that nice logo? It's Dylan's creation. The plus part means not just bikes, but we're looking at e-bikes. Oh wait, just make a slide. Regular bikes, e-bikes, bike share, e-bike share, skateboards. I had a student who did his dissertation on skateboarding. He's now leading experts on the whole scooter thing going on. Regular scooters, electric scooters. Miguel may be working with us on some cargo bikes, electric assist cargo bikes. We're trying to get some here on the UC Davis campus for grounds people to use here on campus. And a lot of our work is focused on behavior. Who is adopting these modes? How are they using them? Does their use of these modes reduce driving? That's the sustainability angle. But we also think about infrastructure as well, and what kind of infrastructure we need for these different modes. How would you mix the different modes? Questions like that. So some of our current projects, you get the idea. We're about to launch a big survey in cities around the country that are going to look at the use, that's going to look at the use of these scooter sharing systems. Oh, and then one study we're just finishing up now, we looked at the impact of jump bikes. How many of you have ridden a jump bike? Yes? Oh, not very many.
There's so many bikes here.
I know, everybody, but still, you know, sometimes I want a jump bike because they're electric assist, right? So we've done a survey of jump bike users. I was just analyzing some data about whether jump bikes has increased awareness of what e-bikes are and interest in using e-bikes, because we feel like that there's a whole lot of potential for e-bikes to replace driving for shorter trips. And then again, one of the big questions we have is, does use of these modes reduce driving? So this comes from our jump survey, and this is the percent. So when people rode jump, used jump, what mode did that replace? And it's sort of good news, bad news. There, did replace driving to some extent. Maybe 20% of jump bike trips replaced a car trip. That's what we're hoping for. But look, a lot of it replaced walking or skateboarding, which
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Trip
Yeah.
length.
Yeah, but it doesn't help us towards our sustainability. So that's the kind of stuff we're doing. If you're interested, come see me, or better yet, contact Dylan, who's away at the moment. That, we'll move on to the next one. Did I stay on time, Michael?
And I'm very tracking the time. I'm tracking the list.
All right. Any questions on the Bicycling Plus Research Collaborative?
Okay, so next we'll go through probably 7 more centers and also 2 student organizations. So our next speaker would be, let's see, Bernard Austin.
That's me.
Yeah, all right. So it's Center for Regional Change.
Yeah, hi there. So
We start from region. We'll start
at the regional level. Also, if you don't want to be in a selfie, duck now. Now's the time to hide. Okay, hi. So that's your introduction to me. My name is Bernard Austin. I'm an alumna of the Community Development Graduate Group. I'm the acting director for the Center for Regional Change. That took effect about 3 days ago, so it's a little bit exciting for me. And one of the things that we do, actually we do many things, so we can scoot onto there. Perfect, thank you. So I'll just go back really quickly. And you can't see it, but that's okay. You can follow us along on the last slide at Regional Change on Twitter. That way you can stay up to date on some of the cool things we'll be doing. You can also download the picture that I just took and share it with all your friends because it's exciting. So the Center for Regional Change, we really try to connect researchers to community partners, particularly in the area of social equity. So we look at health, we look at transportation, we look at education, we look at a number of different topics. And our goal really is to support the creation and building of healthy, equitable, prosperous, and sustainable regions. So you don't need to commit this to memory, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. This is our core team. We're housed under the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. Something that's special on this side is that we have advisors from across campus. So faculty advisors, including the woman you just heard from on our faculty executive committee, as well as regional advisory committee members. So those are thought leaders from a variety of different disciplines. We have both the executive directors for both the Sacramento Area Council of Governments and the San Joaquin Council of Governments as examples of folks that you may be familiar with. We also work with partners across campus. So we work again with faculty, about 40 to 50 faculty from different disciplines. Really all of the schools, colleges, and professional schools are included. And we also work with students. So that means we work with grad students like Sequoia in the back. But also if you already have a grad research program, from January through June, we can have you work with an undergraduate student. We accept both graduate and undergraduate Bradshaw scholars. So stay tuned for that. Again, if you're following us on Facebook or Twitter, you can learn more information about our applied fellowship program. So we do a number of different projects. Here are some examples. In the interest of time, I won't get into them. But basically, you can go to our website and learn more about some of our initiatives, which include things like environmental justice. It's a pretty big topic for us. Health in the built environment, climate change and health, working with youth development, community engaged research, and a variety of other fun and interesting things. So I wanted to talk a bit more about the kind of work that we do. So a lot of our work is definitely community engaged, and much of it is policy oriented. At a minimum, it's action oriented. We are not a center that seeks to create reports that sit on shelves. So we like to engage in research that can inform policies in some way and have a true impact. This example talks about some research that was done through our center under the direction of our faculty director, Jonathan London, on water justice. And we worked with civil engineering to document where existing water infrastructure was. It was then used to inform policy, and the ultimate goal was really to improve access to clean drinking water for people in the state of California. And yes, tens of thousands of people in California do not have access to clean drinking water where they live. One of the pieces about having an impact is connecting with decision makers. And so these are examples of recent projects, or projects that were in the news in the last maybe year or two. So you can see that we have a pretty significant impact, and that our work is really compelling for folks in the general public as well. And very recently, we were in this very room, it was actually last Monday, where we convened the TJAG, the Transportation Equity and Environmental Justice Advisory Group. I show you this slide to show you that there is a connection with transportation, and also to highlight that we do partner with entities across campus, like transportation folks. And so in addition to working with Sequoia very closely, who's really involved in that, JC, wave your hand. Are you gonna be talking to these folks later on? That's okay, that's no problem. So JC is one of our recent staff additions to the team, and his specialty is environmental justice policy. And so you can see, here's our Twitter and our Facebook. Please follow and check out all the fun and interesting things that we're doing. I'd be happy to. I don't think you have time for questions, but you can definitely contact me at the future time. So thanks for listening.
Great. Thank you. So next speaker will be David Jones about the Pavement Research Center.
Afternoon, everybody. David Jones. I'm the Associate Director at the UC Pavement Research Center. Any of you people do EC 179? One. Okay. So you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, this is our center. It's down the drag here, just off Hutchinson. So basically, our trailer farm here for the offices, the lab, and then everything around here that you see is black or gray are our test tracks. So we build full-scale road sections out there. Then we break them with heavy equipment, test materials in the laboratory, and hopefully come up with better ideas for road agencies to make their roads last longer, be cheaper, be sustainable, etc., etc.
And less noisy.
And less noisy, we do that as well, yeah. Okay, so we're funded primarily by Caltrans. We also get funding from CalRecycle because they're interested in using a lot of recycled materials in roads. We get some work from the Federal Highway Administration, quite a lot of work from the Federal Aviation Administration. A runway is just a pavement, it just has to carry heavier loads. And then some industry work as well. So basically, we need to keep those people happy, and they're never happy. The photograph down on the bottom there is just one of the areas that we're looking at where we're taking old, broken up roads and turning them into brand new roads in place. No old materials go out, no new materials come in. So that's kind of one exciting area that we're working at. We have about 22 full-time staff. We have a lab down at UC Berkeley as well. Around about 6 graduate students, that goes up and down depending on how fast they can get through the system. And we employ about 45 undergrad students working in all aspects of our laboratory testing and watching our machines overnight. All of our projects are based on what we call a research roadmap. This is primarily Caltrans's initiative. And we look at trying to meet short, medium, and long-term strategic goals for those agencies. We don't work on pet projects, although we turn a lot of our projects into pet projects. But we don't have a whole bunch of little small projects of interest. We tend to look at very large projects, multi-million-dollar projects, to come up with an answer, an implementable answer, as soon as we can. Most of our focus is on being able to do it sustainably. Okay, there is no such thing as a sustainable pavement, but we can make pavements more sustainable by following various procedures. They've got to be climate resilient, whether you think climate change is a myth or not. We are seeing more intense storms. We are seeing a lot of different factors, so we have to make those pavements more climate resilient as we move into the future. And one of our biggest challenges, especially with Caltrans, is we need to be able to do all of that between 11 o'clock at night and 5 o'clock in the morning so that we don't upset those folks up in the corner there. Nobody likes to be inconvenienced. So a lot of our challenges, even if we're completely rebuilding a road overnight, we've got to do it between 11 and 5, and the trucks have got to be able to hit that road at 5 o'clock in the morning without doing any damage. We do a lot of projects. I'll just give you a couple of examples. So one, as I mentioned, was that recycle the pavements in place. So that's 100% reuse of the materials. Previously, they used to take the materials away, dump them on a site, and bring in all new materials. All right, we don't do that anymore. We use everything we can in place wherever possible. Waste tires. California generates about 40 million waste tires a year. Okay, 1 per person in the state. We're looking to try and use as many of those as we can back into the pavement. So in the last couple of years, we've been using about 8 million tires that have broken up into crumbs. We add those to the asphalt to improve the crack resistance of the asphalt. So we're getting rid of about 8 million tires just going into the pavement. It also makes it quieter, and it also makes it a little stronger as well. Recycled asphalt pavement. All right, you know that we can't just keep adding new asphalt every 7 to 10 years as the asphalt ages. We can't keep adding it on top of the previous layer because we'll build the road up too high and the trucks will hit the bridges. So we have to take some of that material out and put it back in again. So again, that always used to go back onto a dump. We now use about 40% of that binder back into the new mix by adding rejuvenators into it. Warm mix asphalt was another area. So that photograph up on the top right-hand side there, that's a typical construction project at night if you're using asphalt rubber. Lots of smoke, it stinks, and lots of emissions coming out of the plant. By changing the way that they produce that mix, we can produce it with the photograph in the bottom, which was about 100 yards beyond that photograph. We can produce it so it's much cleaner, It doesn't smell so much, and we can work. Yeah, we're getting there. And then the last one that we did, I won't go into detail. We even do stuff like the Bay Bridge, the new Bay Bridge down in, well, it's not so new anymore, down in San Francisco. We actually did a whole lot of testing on that to make sure the deck joints between the 3 different structures down there would be able to handle both traffic and earthquakes. All right, so that's the last slide. Okay, so this is one of our test tracks that we built a couple of months ago. Full-scale construction on the test track, and then we put that big machine on it, and that we could put down about 20 years of truck traffic in the space of 3 months. So we do all the experimentation on there. That allows Caltrans and the other road agencies to get it out onto the interstate systems with very limited risk. They don't have to put it down on a low volume road, watch it for 20 years to make sure that it's going to work before they try it on the high volume road. That's about it.
Thank you, David.
All right, thanks.
Our next speaker will be Rosa Dominguez-Paus, and it will be about sustainable transportation energy pathways, otherwise known as STEP+.
Yeah, I thought I would be more, since representing centers, I thought it would make more sense to show the website. That way we also show people that we have a website where they can go for resources and presentations. So STEPS Plus is, not a center as much as it is some sort of super multi-center organization. It's kind of a United Nations of centers. If the centers are nations, we are a United Nations organization, and of a few of the centers, not all of them, and that has to do more with legacy and tradition than anything else. And the different centers that STEPS Plus is made of are the PHEV Center, the Three Revolutions Future Mobility, China Center, Energy Futures, and Sustainable. And you're gonna hear each of the centers in a separate presentation. But what STEPS Plus is mainly a way for these centers to collaborate and to talk to each other. So Beth is the coordinator of STEPS Plus, and well, you will receive lots of emails from her, and they're mostly about our events, which are the weekly seminar series in which, instead of unlike the ITS seminar series in which we invite speakers from outside, the STEPS seminar series is we present, like different people from the different centers present every week, and that's a way for everybody to know what the others are doing and foster collaboration. So this is one of the main things. And the other main thing is a big event that we do twice a year, which is our STEPS Plus Symposium, in which we invite all of our sponsors. So sponsors of STEPS Plus are lots of companies and lots of agencies, federal and state government agencies. They pay a fee to be part of this consortium, so that's good for us. But we also learn a lot from them. And these two events are basically, the idea behind these two big events is basically that we present our research to the sponsors and they give us feedback. So those are the main things. Beth, anything else you need to add? Okay, so if you have any questions, if you want to be in the mailing list for the events, for the seminar series or for the symposium, you have to contact them. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Lisa. So our next speaker will be Dalia Grass, and we'll be plug-in hybrid electric vehicle research center, otherwise known as PHEV.
Good afternoon, I'm Dalia Garris. I'm the program manager for the Plug-in Hybrid and Electric Vehicle Research Center. It's a mouthful. So hence PHEV, PH and EV. We always use the ampersand, and not an and, even when we write and spell it all out. So our center is about 12 years old. It's led by Jill Tall, who was here a second ago and has now disappeared, but probably many of you know him already. We have a good, strong kind of body of full-time researchers, postdocs, and professional researchers that work with our group, as well as associated faculty from computer science and design, and kind of other departments on campus as needed. We have a full-time programmer who works with us. We generally have about 12 graduate students and 12 undergraduate students that work with us every year. And this, I think, just repeats what maybe Rosa talked about, but STEPS is one of the groups under the ITS umbrella. And then we are one of the centers that's under the STEPS Plus cluster. I'm going to go through this because it's day one. and it's a little bit not about our center, but hopefully helps you in your courses and in your interactions with ITS researchers and research in general. So EV, electric vehicle, includes PEVs, plug-in electric vehicles, which can then be broken down and includes both PHEVs, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and BEVs, battery electric vehicles. So gasoline plus electricity, engine plus motor, just battery, just electricity. Under EV, often you'll see HEV, hybrid electric vehicle. That's your old school Prius, right? There's an engine, there's a battery, but the only fuel that goes in it is gasoline. There's no grid connection, right? There's no plug. So that's why it's not under the PEV. And then FCEV, fuel cell electric vehicle, hydrogen fuel, right? And that's also under the EV umbrella. ZEV is kind of separated out in red. That's a zero emission vehicle. It actually doesn't necessarily mean electric. And that includes basically all of the above. But that's a policy, that's from the ZEV regulation coming out of our Air Resources Board. So ZEV includes both plug-in electrified vehicles as well as fuel cell electric vehicles. In the past, there was also some historic encompassing of hybrids, but we don't talk about hybrids too much anymore. Okay, Rosa mentioned that we have a lot of partners that we work with as part of the STEPS consortia. The subset that works with the PHEV Center is here in this table. We also have a lot of active research contracts, and those are with a lot of state and federal agencies and many other foundations and groups. And then we have some other non-STEP support and a lot of data and information sharing that comes from even more partners. And I think the kind of general summary of what we do is to try to understand the sort of next generation. So we're looking at the border between the current buyers of electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, fuel cells, partially automated vehicles, and how they use it, how they charge it, how much they drive, why they buy it, all of those questions, and the next generation of vehicles and buyers. So we're kind of looking a few years out into the future, but not very far out into the future. We have Energy Futures. That group is going to talk about looking way far out. We have lots of data from surveys, from on-road data collection, infrastructure data, like I mentioned, from some of our information and data sharing partners, vehicle registration data from the state, and then TNC data also from our partners that are in the TNC world. And to clarify, TNC is Transportation Network Companies. Those are the Ubers and Lyfts. Cool. And I think that's it. And hopefully I was fast enough. They were.
So our next speaker will be Giovanni.
Actually, I'm
Okay.
Right, me again.
The Three Revolutions Future Mobility Center.
Yes, and I'm also going to use a website because we have really cool websites, brand new, and I want to.
And there'll be a workshop coming up.
Yes, we have a workshop coming up next Tuesday and Wednesday, and if you want to attend and haven't registered yet, come and see me because you need to register before the end of the day if you want to get through. Okay, so the Three Revolutions Future Mobility Program, that's the full name. Three Revolutions, what are them? Shared, automated, and electric. So we do research on these three topics, and we've added future mobility because we do other topics like, for example, micromobility, transit, stuff like that. And There's a little bit of overlap with other centers in respect to some of these topics like electricity or electrification and micromobility, but we also have like embedded in some of our big projects, we have questions about these topics too. So who are we? Our offices are located in that building over there. Let me see if I can make this a little small. We have a ton of people, and there's like 3 pages of people like this. But I wanted to show you like the main person. Giovanni Cerceda is our director, and he's busy with a meeting today. I was asked to, so I'm presenting. We have a strong policy component in collaboration with the Policy Institute, and that's led by Molly D'Agostino. And then I'm the program manager. And then we have Dan Sperling, which is a founding director and master mind behind everything. And postdocs and researchers. We're growing. We just hired 2 postdocs this fall, and another one is coming. We have a bunch of new students and a few visiting scholars this fall. So a big group doing a lot of research, very interesting. So it's going to be really cool. In terms of, I want to show you the sponsors. We also have sponsors within the STEPS Plus umbrella and our own. Tons of car companies, mobility companies, TNCs, Uber and Lyft, and agencies. And we have also several research partners which give us data and awards for or contracts for research. In terms of projects, we have, I'm not going to talk about specific projects, but groups. We have 24 projects right now. Oops, yes, thank you. And we could organize them in different ways, by topics, by methods. We do surveys mainly. We do some naturalistic experiments. We do modeling, and we embrace different topics. Our flagship project is what we call the California Panel Study, which is the survey that we conduct every other year, every 2 years. And we ask a bunch of questions. It's becoming a monster of a survey, but it's giving us a lot of information about attitudes towards new mobility. Is people using Uber and Lyft, or are they doing more micromobility? Is that in detriment of using less car or owning less cars? Are they driving more? Are they using more or less transit? All these kind of questions. So it's one project that gives us a ton of information. We publish lots of papers. I want to show on the website, on each project, we have a list of the different materials. So if you're interested in seeing more about this project, and if it's something that you would be interested in working on, you can go in there. This project is for California only. It's been so successful that we are expanding it to at least 6 or 7 more American cities. We're doing also the same kind of survey internationally in 5 big metropolises in the globe. So soon we're going to have research, results about that, and I think they're going to get a lot of attention. We have a few experiments on automation. One of them is like we provide people with a chauffeur, and that kind of is a proxy for having an autonomous vehicle. It's not exactly the same thing, but there are no autonomous vehicles to test this for now. So also producing interesting results, and that's going to tell us whether automation is going to give us, is going to increment VMT or reduce, or are we going to be more efficient? It's going to be a lot of deadheading, empty trips, etc. Questions that are all very interesting in order to try to understand the future of mobility and the sustainability of mobility. More emissions, less emissions. And then finally, I just want to talk about new partnership with airports. So also these TNCs with airports. Airports' main source of revenue, or one of the main sources of revenue, is parking structures. But now they're thinking maybe we don't need that as much parking because people are using more Uber and Lyft instead of just driving. So another study looking at that. And then the final big thing is mass mobility as a service. So there are several companies that are trying to become you know how Google tells you, Google Maps tells you how long it would take you to arrive to places in different modes? Well, some companies want to be an integration of all modes where you can buy tickets in that platform for everything, all your mobility needs. So there's a race for that. We're working with some of these companies. If anyone is interested, that's a pretty good price. And that's it.
Thank you again, Rita. Our next speaker will be Rin Shuang, talk about the China's Center for Energy and Transportation.
The website? Yeah. Who wants the website? But you also want your presentation, right?
Yeah.
You want this?
So I really love this because the China Center is right here in the middle. It's a phone booth, so if you want to know what the China Center is, basically every evening I go to the phone booth for China and tell them that what's going on in California, please move faster, something like that. But let's come back. So that's in general that we work as a platform to share with China what's happening in California in the environmental areas. For example, the SAVE mandate, we share with them what's the thinking behind the SAVE mandate in California, how China can benefit from some of the experiences. And as a result, China adopted the SAVE mandate. So we established this US-China Zero Emission Vehicle Policy Lab here. This was at the time the Deputy Executive of California Air Resource Board. He was an official from China's National Development Reform Commission. So my partner, he is still now the Deputy Director of CATAR, China Automotive Technology and Research Center. According to Dan, it functions somewhat like a car as well. How do we do that? Okay, just automate. So we hosted on August 20th, 2015, we hosted a workshop on SAVE mandate. We invited Tesla, Honda, Daimler, BYD, all the major automakers to talk about what they think about SAVE mandates. How do they think it would work in China? Obviously, there were very intense discussions, lots of conversations. So we had ministry officials from Ministry of Industry, NDRC, and Ministry of Finance. After lengthy discussion, on that day, they decided that yes, China will adopt the SAVE mandate. Came out a year later. Same day, same place, August 20th, Volkswagen, same place next door, confessed the Dieselgate. So it was a very historical moment for us. We also work with the governor's office. When the governor went to China, we hosted some workshops for the governor and the Chinese automakers and policymakers as well. So here is the photo to prove that it really happened. And then the government of the Netherlands was so impressed that they decided to join us. So now we become China, US, the Netherlands Zero Emission Vehicle Policy Lab, and Governor Jerry Brown and Chinese Minister Xie Zhenhua were standing behind us, supporting us as Minister of Environment of the Netherlands. And we also were invited, Dan and I, invited to Brussels to give a brief on China's SAVE mandate to the EU commissioners. So here are the projects that we are doing, working on. First is the Chinese government is thinking a timeline for the full electrification, 100%. Whether it's possible, where the raw materials come from. So we're working on a parallel project to sort of enlighten or sort of because the researchers in China, they tend to be very careful. There are a lot of pushbacks from the industry. So we as an academic, we can do, we can say a little bit more aggressive. So we are doing some research on that. And then we have a case study of Shenzhen City, which has already achieved 100% electrification in transit buses and cab fleets, taxi cabs. So 16,000 buses in the city. It's a lot of numbers. We also done some comparative policy studies of 3 revolutions, we do surveys of the shared mobility, consumer choice, ride-hailing service choices in China, the impact of the new bike line in Beijing. We want to see whether more people will be shifting away from taking private cars to work or taking from bus or something else. So we want to make sure we understand what's the impact. And then we're also working on the low-speed EVs and the 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers. We have so far we have 2 PhD candidates working for us in the 3 staff. So it's a very small center. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yushu. The next 2 centers, unfortunately, the speakers did not make it. So one is the Energy Futures with Alan Jan. If you have questions, you can contact him directly. The other one is the Sustainable Freight with Miguel Hoyer. And you can talk about the freight.
I can talk about this too.
Oh, so by all means, maybe each one 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, real quick, it's the same thing. It's the other 2 centers within STEPS. So you're seeing a lot of me today. Talking about the Energy Futures is the modeling group, the energy modeling group. I started with basically modeling different fuels. So some of the groups study transportation from the demand side, from the consumer side, and so this group studies transportation from the supply side, the different energy sources, different fuels that we need to provide. And I was part of this group, so we've studied these, most of the major fuels that you can imagine. Traditional fuels, biofuels, electricity, hydrogen. And so what we do is study how is the infrastructure rollout going to happen? When are we going to have enough hydrogen stations that people can buy hydrogen cars? When are we going to have enough electricity? We do a lot of integrated analysis, which means we simulate the entire economy, obviously with some limitations, and see and run optimizations to see which kind of energy modes help us achieve certain carbon emissions reduction targets by X time, what's the cheapest way to do it, and then we integrate this knowledge with the kind of fuels that are most available and kind of low-hanging fruit, and then we advise the state in terms of policies which kind of fuel to promote. Okay, so that's Energy Futures. It's mostly an energy modeling group. It's been involved in all the biofuels, low carbon fuel standards, etc. So most of the policies that have, I wouldn't say come out, but the academic side of these policies came out of ITS Davis, and this is the group who promoted it. And the other group is Sustainable Freight, and it's kind of a spin-off of the original STEPS Energy Futures thing. And it's basically the same thing, but focused on freight. For many years, ITS was focused on passenger transport, but now we're including freight too, because it's a big component of carbon emissions, and it's actually the fastest growing sector in terms of emissions. So we discovered that we're not going to solve anything unless we worry about freight. And then we started doing freight, and then we realized it's very complicated because there's all these different classes that have different drive cycles, so different fuels or different technologies is going to be better for maybe long distance freight transportation versus last mile or city delivery. So it's become really big, and it's become a group on itself. We have Marshall Miller, Andy Berg, two senior researchers, Luke Fulton as director, and Miguel Jaller, which many of you know, is a professor, and it's bringing a lot of the new things related to deliveries, Amazon, and the TNCs for deliveries, etc. So that's like a super quick overview.
Thank you, Rosa. I have a question. I mean, Miguel is my colleague, and I call him Miguel Jaller, and someone call Miguel Hayer, and so.
Yeah, so in Spanish it would be higher.
Okay,
but,
so.
I don't know.
we need to.
My name is
unify
not
that.
the way I pronounce it either. But, easier recognition.
So English would be like Jaller. So we're all right.
Yeah. I think, in my opinion, it's more important that you write it, you spell it right, and you say it.
Thank you. So our next speaker will be Kelly Fleming. It's the Policy Institute of the 3E, Energy, Environment, and Economy. Yeah, thank you.
So that's purposely broad. Basically, everything is encompassed in energy, environment, and economy. So Austin, our executive director, likes to say we're allowed to do whatever we want. But this kind of shows what we actually do. So we're kind of an in-between policymakers and both the Institute of Transportation Studies and the Energy Efficiency Institute. We're a gateway to relevant institutes for policymakers. Within our staff, we tend to have more research expertise than policymakers and more policy expertise than researchers. So we kind of serve as an in-between, like this shows. So that can be in the form of these three things. We identify funding opportunities for the researchers, and we help write policy relevant sections of applications for funding. We gather input from policymakers, save to our researchers, and vice versa. We help policymakers make relevant decisions based on research, and our researchers help us by evaluating some policy that sometimes gets sent to us. And then we do a lot of communication both to the public and policymakers in the form of peer-reviewed journal articles, policy briefs, and blog posts that you can find on our website. These are the people in the Institute. So most of the people on the top are full-time staff. Austin is the executive director. Colin is the deputy director. Molly is out on maternity leave, but she's the policy director for 3 Revolutions, which I think you heard about earlier. And then down here we have some more of our staff and students. Many of us have backgrounds in research. So Austin, Colin, and I all did science policy fellowships prior to coming. And that gives us kind of our in-between expertise. And one of the things we're doing on Monday is called Policy Popcorn. We do these about once a month. And if you're interested in science policy or having a career in policy, we have a session on what a policy fellowship can do for you. The 3 of us are not on the panel. There are other people on the panel, but if that's something you're interested in, I highly encourage coming. We have a popcorn machine, so that's another reason you might want to come. Yeah, that was super fast. Any questions?
Thank you, Kelly. So we have the next 2 are student organizations. First is Jake Heileman about Davis Student Energy. This is a new student organization. So we have Jake
and Anish.
Okay, Jake and Anish.
Hello everyone. Many of you might already know me, but for those who don't, I'm Anish and I'm a graduate student at UTP and Mechanical. And we are starting a new student organization called Student Energy. It provides energy to students. That was joke.
I thought you could provide energy bars.
But this student organization is a local chapter for a global organization called Student Energy. It's based in Canada, and we're trying to get more students involved in discussions around energy and climate. And the purpose is to build more knowledge and provide a platform for, if you have any ideas, then you can also execute it through our organizations. I'll let Jake talk about it.
So the reason that I decided to jump on board with this was my name is Jake Heileman. I'm an energy student, but I've worked with a lot of the transportation people as well. And I just have been feeling very depressed about the reality of climate. And I know there's a lot of grad students across the whole UC Davis that are working in climate energy related areas, if they're engineering, if they're economics, if they're TTP. So our idea was to use this as a platform to create a community of graduate students across multiple disciplines that can come together, build knowledge, have some social events, and then potentially have regular discussion groups, bring in some speakers, and then use it as a platform to raise funds and do specific projects that based on what people are interested in doing. We already have about 45 people that have signed up to our email list from a bunch of different departments, ARE, land, water resources, engineering, energy, TTP. So at the very least, you guys should get on the email list. It's no commitment, and then you can follow along. We're gonna have our first official meeting next week, TBD, the day and time. But we're hoping that this can be a really interdisciplinary community of grad students and undergrads that know a lot and want to share knowledge and figure out how to kind of accelerate the decarbonization of the economy, because it's a serious topic, it's serious stuff. So there's a poster back there. It's black and white, but it has a QR code you can scan to fill out a form to get on the email list. And there's also an email address. You can email us if you have any questions, or you can contact myself, Jake Heileman, or Anish Sinha. If you have any more questions, you should join. If you're interested in helping lead it, talk to us. And if you have a project idea that's been in the back of your mind that you think would be really awesome, this could be a good platform for you to pursue a project that's outside of academia, that's more community-based or entrepreneurial or anything. So thank you guys very much, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We can ask you a question afterwards.
Yep.
So our final presentation will be Coral Bush, and she'll talk to you about the Women Transportation Society student organization, right?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Coral and I'm a PhD student at the PHEV Center that you probably heard about from Dalia. And I'm also a board member at WTS at UC Davis. And WTS is a North American nonprofit organization with more than 50 chapters all over the continent that is actually advancing women in the transportation field. And as a student chapter, we are here to inspire students from all disciplines and all genders to pursue a career in the transportation field. Our next event is actually this upcoming Monday, Biking in Davis 101. You're all welcome to join us. And Anne-Marie also told me that some of you are interested in the biking program of City of Davis. So that will be a great opportunity for you to meet somebody from the City of Davis and hear about biking in Davis and the biking programs here. Usually we have 2 professional events each quarter. So our next event will be later on November. You can already have the date if you would like. We will hear about the study case of how women travel in LA area, Los Angeles area. And throughout the quarter, we also have some social events, usually 1 or 2 that you can get updates from our Facebook page or the emails that the graduate program coordinators are sending you. You're very welcome to contact us in Facebook or in email. I have some more info about WTS. Again, it's open for all genders. All of you are welcome. We are here to support each other and advance each other through professional events and social events, networking, and hearing more about this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coral.
Oh, right, of course. So several days ago, you got an email from Anne-Marie announcing about the WTS Sacramento Chapter Scholarship program. You can apply, if you're a woman, you can apply, or identify as a woman, you can apply for the scholarship. In the recent years, the graduate scholarship recipients are from UC Davis, from the TTP or CE transportation program. So very high chance that you will receive that. If you're active in the WTS, UC Davis chapters, pretty much you have a really good chance to receive that. So you're very encouraged to apply for the scholarship, but first be active in our chapter.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, a quick announcement before we wrap up today's seminar.
Hey everyone, I'm Sequoia, and this year also we're being hosted. Sarah Grudger and I, she's part of civil engineering and transportation, wanted to have a rich discussion and learning environment around mobility justice and what that means for us as students here, but in the broader scheme. So last year we organized a reading group, and now this year we are working with the Feminist Research Institute here on campus. It's a really great spot, and Wednesdays throughout the fall quarter we'll be hosting mobility justice working groups, and so you all are invited to come. We have some readings that we'll be doing, but also we'll be kind of getting to know each other, getting to know each other's research. The idea is for collaboration and bringing it out of just the institutional space, but into real world application. So if you feel like you want to be connected to justice, mobility, transportation, things like that, the email went out yesterday, so check your email. The information's in there, but we'll have food. It'll be interesting, a good conversation, and we may even go outside together sometime. So please.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up on the student organization. Actually, there's called the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, student chapters. We are not very active on this campus, although there's an undergraduate from the civil program have a student, participate. But I do encourage our graduate student and think about that, and maybe because there's a local chapter in the Sacramento area, they have similar things like the WTS. So that's something you can think about to organize a student chapter for graduate student. Okay. We thank all our speakers, and we're very good on time. Yeah.
One question. Do you have to submit the 3 questions for today's presentation?
Yes. We'll do the same. Yeah. So no exception. Yes. Yeah. And will be because these are recorded, right? So you'll be able to view them if you want to refresh. Okay.
How do we submit? Open the Canvas and go to discussion page.
The submission will be through Canvas, so we'll send an announcement. Read the directions. Yeah. Okay.
Did anyone not sign in? Don't be late.
That's great. Okay, we'll see you next week.